You know when you find a somewhat decent game on the Roblox front page, you play it, then a few days later, another game pops up that looks similar to that one game you played, so you go, I wonder if there's more games like this. There's more games like this. These are what I call Roblox niches, because they aren't technically a Roblox video game genre, but at the same time they kind of are. And I'm gonna be talking about them, see if they're any good, and mention the impact they've had on the Roblox platform, if any. This just in, we are absolutely cooked. Let's hear more from our underrated survivalist. Someone put the weather machine on 7. Holy shit, we're gonna die! Natural Disaster Survival, alongside Murder Mystery 2, is part of those old but gold Roblox games that are still somehow relevant to this day, despite being older than most of you watching this video. And it follows the perfect Roblox game formula, completely random chaos that's better enjoyed with friends. For those who don't know, Natural Disaster Survival is a game where you survive natural disasters. Big shocker. You have basically nothing you can use to help you out besides the environment and a few items. And you have to plan your survival strategies around what disasters you get, and God forbid someone touches the weather machine. There's no other game that encapsulates the Roblox essence quite like Natural Disaster Survival. Some games have tried to replicate its success though, like Survive the Disasters, Something Evil Will Happen, Cuando El. I have to give it to Something Evil Will Happen though. It genuinely feels like Natural Disaster Survival 2 in the best way possible. Natural Disaster Survival is Beethoven, and Something Evil Will Happen is modern Beethoven. Or Azali. Don't get me wrong, NDS isn't peak gameplay by any means, but it is plain old fun. And I think a lot of Roblox games nowadays are missing the mark on that. They're so caught up in making cash that they forget the secret ingredient, fun. It's not that hard to make a fun game, but they just kind of don't do that. Roblox was built for these types of games, but next to no one gives a shit about it anymore. It's just money, money, money. Like, where's the fun in Build to Survive Skibbity? Well, actually, it is a pretty fire game. Now look, I don't really like Battlegrounds games, mainly because I suck at them, and getting absolutely floored by a 12-year-old is not the best feeling, but people play this for some reason. And by far one of the biggest Battlegrounds games out there is The Strongest Battlegrounds. And this video will teach you that numbers do not directly translate to quality, in case you didn't know that somehow. The gameplay of this game is kind of a joke, I'm sorry to tell you that, and there's basically nothing that makes it stand out from the bunch, aside from being one of the first of its kind, so OG points there, I guess. But some of you may be asking, what is a Battlegrounds game? And that is just such a dumb question, and I will answer it. A Battlegrounds game is where you can fight people using abilities and movesets mostly inspired by anime characters and other IPs, usually just on the brink of a copyright takedown. You must use your abilities wisely since they all have a cooldown and do different things. And there are definitely not objectively better characters with better abilities. Anyways, I consider the average Battlegrounds game to be a sort of PvP sandbox, because there's no objective, you just mess around with different characters and fight people brainlessly. I also made a pie chart that shows you what makes a good Battlegrounds game player. As you can see, 20% of it is skill, and 70% of it is good ping. And that's what, wait, where's the other 10%? Oh, 10% subscribe to Daiorg. Yeah, that's right. Guys, make sure to subscribe. I want to get to at least 100,000 subs by the end of the year, so let's make it happen. If it weren't for Doors going viral back in a long time ago, I don't think Roblox would have had as big of a reach as it does now. It's safe to say Doors changed everything. Well, that wasn't without the help of Rooms, since it was created first, but still, Doors-like games really put Roblox on the radar, and even got non-Robloxians to play them, like 8-Bit Ryan, iShowSpeed, Queso, 8-Bit Ryan, Moist Critical, 8-Bit Ryan. Did I say 8-Bit Ryan? Although Doors and other games inspired by it have had such a large cultural impact on Roblox, a massive portion of Roblox still doesn't really know or enjoy these games. And it's understandable, most people just associate the Doors formula with open door, scary screaming PNG monster, repeat, but every single Doors-like game is unique. Well, the good ones at least. I honestly didn't know I needed Doors with parkour movement in my life, but then Grace just kind of decided to exist, and that game was pretty fun to mess around in. Then we also have Pressure, which was a nice breath of fresh air, there. Initially, it was just doors but with a different coat of paint, but I'm glad to see it flourish into a more unique experience since the team behind it is really talented. I'm genuinely curious to see what the next big Doors-like game will be. I have a ton of respect for this genre, not necessarily because it has extremely good gameplay. I mean, come on, you just open doors half the time, but because it's a fun and unique niche on Roblox that still has a lot of untapped potential. And fight me if you want, but I still think Doors is the best one out of these three. It's smooth, it feels really polished. It may not be the scariest, but I still think it's the best one by far. But they're all so vastly different from each other that you can't really compare them. Okay, maybe you can compare them. I just can't believe this is a genre of games on Roblox. I can't believe this is a thing that people quote-unquote play. For the uninitiated, RNG games are bad. I used to hold a pretty big grudge against these types of games because they're no more than just lazy engagement farms and cash grabs. And after reading through the comments of people who play RNG games, it makes sense. It's just a little funny thing to have running in the background. You roll for funny rare words and that's mostly it. That still doesn't justify the mischievous nature of some of these games. And one of the worst offenders of this, which is also one of the most popular ones, is Pets Go, which is an RNG game that tries to disguise itself by making it seem like it has some form of gameplay. It has a humongous skill tree that is initially pretty easy to progress in but gets increasingly grindy. The main premise is that you have an egg in which you can roll pets with random chances similar to Soul's RNG, but here you can quote-unquote do stuff for quote-unquote better luck because it isn't a pets game without being able to manipulate the odds using either real money or your time, both of which being very valuable resources. And don't get me started on fish. Just don't get me started. Now, games that actually try to have some gameplay in them have decided to implement the concept of AFK worlds, which are servers in which you can AFK in and still get rewards. Our player engagement is being farmed like a gunpowder farm in Minecraft. You just can't make this shit up, but it works. Anyway, back to the RNG games. I don't really have a problem with this niche as long as you don't idly sit in it whenever you aren't at the computer. Like, this isn't even a game. There's no gameplay in it, so why make it profitable? If you want infinite dopamine, save up 15 buckaroos and buy Balatro. Like, seriously, what are we doing here? This is straight up better than rolling random words, because instead of that, you just see the funny number go up and your brain gets more dopamine than ever before. Please save me. Balatro is consuming my soul. Two-player obbies usually fall into two categories, too frustrating or too boring. It all started back when Steep Steps was released, inventing a whole new niche on Roblox consisting of rage games where you'd have to climb a mountain, usually with checkpoints every 100 meters. Then people started making two-player rage games with similar premises, emphasizing teamwork since you quite literally can't succeed without the help of your friend. And somehow, this whole niche has gone slopified, with shitty-ass oversaturated thumbnails and poorly designed games taking over this niche as a whole. There are still some good ones out there, and crashing out on your friend is always fun, but what is more fun is joining my Discord server. That's where I'm usually the most active, so if you want to get notified for upcoming videos, feel free to join. Link is in the description. Anyway, let's be real. If you play two-player games with randoms, what are you doing? Just play with yourself at that point. Obviously, when you introduce another player in the mix, you must also make sure that they both carry the same amount of weight and that each role is around the same difficulty level, because otherwise it can cause a lot of unnecessary frustration and not enough cooperation. But who cares at the end of the day? Because it's Roblox, right? You can just make whatever goobly goo you want and people will play it. So who am I to try and give fair and honest criticism to games that I think could be better if they're already performing well enough? So in conclusion, all these niches are great, and it's cool to see people bring their own unique spin to an idea that someone else brought into the world. It's watching a community come together to make something innovative that's just really nice to see, and the fact that some of them have brought so many new people to Roblox is also great. I really don't care about what type of game you enjoy in the best way possible, because if you enjoy it, then that's good. If the content you consume on this silly platform brings you satisfaction, then who is anyone to judge you for that? Make sure to subscribe.